Fire, nature's way of housekeeping. Natural wildfires clear dense undergrowth in forests and stimulate new growth of plants. Some plants, like the pine, have evolved, incorporating fire into their reproductive cycle, helping the cone open and release its seeds. In Florida, fire has, over time, carved the landscape that we experience and enjoy today. And it's no different here at Heritage Village. Recently, Pinellas County's Parks and Conservation Resources Department implemented a technique called vegetation thinning, a mechanized replacement for what a natural fire would do: clear underbrush.
The natural communities here at Heritage Village are fire dominated. That means that they thrive and are much healthier when we have fire on a regular cycle. Unfortunately, because of the nature of Heritage Village with the historic structures on site, we're not able to introduce fire to this property, so therefore we use the mechanical thinning approach that you see here.
And that approach has created quite a visual change. Where lush green palmetto once framed the dainty Boyer cottage, now it looks, for all intents and purposes, naked in comparison. Here's the McMullen cabin before and after. The Low House before thinning and now.
The palmetto had grown to heights of 10 to 12 feet, much greater height than we would find in a more natural setting. That's because fire has been excluded from this area, and other activities that would have controlled the palmetto cover, such as cattle grazing, has been excluded from this site. So we contracted to have the understory thinned using the mulching mower found behind me here in order to mulch down the palmetto cover. Another aspect of this project was to remove the number of vines that have grown up and started to choke the pine trees here at Heritage Village. And we had the contractor remove those vines in order to prevent wildfire, if it should happen, to climb up into the canopy of the tree. So we refer to these as ladder fuels, and it was important for us to pull those vines down to prevent that in the future.
The threat of wildfires is a large part of managing properties like parks and preserves. That's where prescribed or controlled burns come into play. Prescribed burns are managed fires that burn the sometimes dense undergrowth or understory in wooded areas, starving future wildfires for fuel.
Other properties that are able to be burned, we certainly do try to introduce prescribed fire whenever we can. We have a very narrow burn window. Conditions have to be just right here in Pinellas County given the dense urban development and the surrounding land uses around the parks and preserves. But whenever possible, reintroducing fire into these natural systems is an important component of sound management.
One interesting aspect of the new look is that you can now see completely across the entire village complex. But be assured, Heritage Village's palmetto frond greenery will flourish again. I mean, after all, we are talking about palmettos, one of the toughest plants on the planet.
The area will grow back with palmetto cover. It'll be bright green within a year. They won't even notice it, except for the fact that the vegetation will be much lower and the risk of wildfire will be much lower too. In fact, we're already starting to see new shoots coming up.
Looks like you can't keep a good plant down. From Heritage Village, I'm Libby Bowling, inside Pinellas.